I would have thought there would have been more actually in the region than 1100.
There were 4 companies, and then there was the transport.
I suppose over
There'd be 100 and something in the transport.
I suppose over the 5 years, so there must have been more than 1100.
No,
there would have been
100,000.
You'd have got replacements every year.
There have been over 100,000 went through our regiment.
Mm.
Well, in the Battle of High Wood, I think it was, there were only about 75 of us came out. And one on the 15th September 1916, I shell landed right in amongst the platoon as we'd been over. The fellows lying dead all around me and seriously wounded. And I looked up over the side. I got in the shell hole, and I looked over the side, and I seen some of the company coming up to help us. And the next thing, they get into the machine gun barge, and they're all throwing the rifles up there as they're running along the road, running across the paddock. The whole lot of them killed, and one blooming barge all went down, the rifles out their hands where they were hit. Oh yes, we lost. I had my cousin killed there that day, Johnny Douglas, and Willie Elder's son was killed there, Jimmy Elder.
Oh, who
he
was
killed
that
that
person?
Oh, he was my mother's sister's son.
Oh, I see.
He was killed. He came over from Gallipoli.
Was he in the...
He was regimental sergeant major, regular soldier.
Was he with you at the time, or?
He was my company. I never met him. I went over to look for him. I happened to get a letter, and I went to look for him, and he was supposed to be in the front line, but when I got up to the front line trenches looking for him, I couldn't find them. They were all dead. Most of them was in the trench, wounded, and I asked 2 or 3 other men that had been out in Gallipoli if the new regimental sergeant major Douglas, I said, came up with reinforcements last night. And they said, oh yes, I think he's a long way. I rang about from here over to Russell's Hotel along this trench, and was battered to bits. There was nothing hardly left of it. They were dead everywhere. And he was never heard of again. So the only son she had too. He's a big fella too, about your build. He's a boxer too. He's a champion boxer of India for the regular army. I seen him fight, but I didn't know it was my cousin. But 2 days before the battle, he came up in these reinforcements, but I didn't know until I got the letter from my mother that this Douglas was missing, and your cousin Johnny Douglas. And I thought I would try and find him. He happened to be in it must have been a different company to I was in.
But he was attached to the Cameron.
No, regiment. There were 4 companies in the regiment. Anyway, I never seen him. But I seen this fight down. The chap told me, oh, he said he was fighting there with that fella. I seen the fight. I was sitting at the ring. Just an open paddock. I make a ring for them. A big fine looking chap. And when I heard all about him, I heard that he was one of the reinforcements that came over from... I met another sergeant major that came from Inverness. I knew him well. He married a girl that I was very friendly with her brother. I was very, very friendly with the whole family, Fraser. And I asked him, I said, did you know, because we had dozens of sergeants and sergeant majors and that. But being a regular soldier, A fine lot of looking fellas, these regular fellas, was in India.
Hmm.
He was in India, in the 2nd Cameroon Highlander. It was a regular battalion, and they went to Gallipoli and they got wiped out, got a big lot, a tremendous lot of them were killed in Gallipoli. And then afterwards they sent back to France.
Hmm.
And he got killed in France. The Battle of Flares.
Flares?
Flares.
Yeah.
That was the first time they used the tanks.
Hmm.
First lot of tanks were used there that day.
No.
We went in with the first tank,
Hmm.
running alongside it. Our platoon, number 1 platoon of A Company. We got hit, the tank got hit went about from here across to the other side of the paddock there.
Hmm.
And it got hit and got bogged in the blooming mud.
Hmm.
I think near all that was inside the tank were killed.
That was about 1916.
15th of September 1916.
Hmm.
First battle of the Somme. That was the start of the big battle.
Oh,
The Somme.
I see. Yeah, I thought you mentioned the Somme before about the tanks being...
Yeah.
Yeah.
The New Zealand division come in. They were in a place called they were in a place called Flares. Went into Flares, and we went into Scottish Redoubt. We were a bit farther on. We advanced farther than they did.
Hmm.
We went right up into a hill called Scottish Redoubt.
Hmm.
And we could look right down into Flares. We used to watch the New Zealand troops going down there to get water. A lot of them used to get killed. They go for their life running with the water bottles to get water out of this well, Flares well. And a lot of them used to get killed there. We used to go to another well that wasn't very far away from where we were. Our fellows got killed too. Take about a dozen water bottles with you and fill them up. Took turnabout and running out to get the water. Used to have sandbags all around the well to try and protect. We got no protection. The Germans could see you coming round. As soon as they'd see you,
Would you get hit? Would it be sniper fire or...
shell fire too, field gun fire, and machine gun fire. But everyone had to take turnabout. They'd say, well, it's your turn to go out and get the water. Usually got that early in the morning or last thing in the evening, but you couldn't find your way if you went in the dark. You had to get out when we just sort of...
How would you fill the bottles? It
was taps and all that, pipes coming up from the well.
Oh, did it?
Oh, yes, engineers put...
Oh, I see.
And had sandbags round about as thick as this room, all around it. They used to hit it every now and again. As soon as it was hit, the engineers would fix it up again. Well, I met different New Zealanders that knew that. I remember you're talking, I said, when I tell them, I'd say, well, I remember a well at Flares when New Zealanders used to run. Oh, well, yeah, we remember. Remember the Scots troops up on the side of the hill there.
I suppose you can remember the dates of all the major campaigns.
Yeah. I can't understand why people couldn't remember them. You know, a lot of New Zealanders that say they were there, they weren't there at all. You know, and then you ask them, where were you? And you could tell they didn't know the name of the places. If you were in a place where it was battered to bits, you'd soon remember about it, wouldn't you? You know, when I was up there, we were up on the Somme battlefield for nearly 7 months. And you knew every square inch of the place. I could go up there in the dark and lead the company up. As a runner, I was company runner for a bit. And I knew every blooming danger spot in it. When we got the communication trenches, it was all, for miles and miles, there was nothing, riddled with trenches, going in all directions. Well, you got up and down a few times, you soon got to know your way, and I was fairly good at observation in those days. I could remember things very well. Now, if I get across here, I can't hardly find my way.
Is that I remember you telling me about some chap that was you were taking some party up some trench and a shell landed up in the parapet.
Yeah.
Was that place?
That was one of the places there that was near High Wood. And the shell landed right in front of us. And he got killed. He came over from Gallipoli too. That lot that my cousin was in. But I didn't know at that time. Didn't know until afterwards. Sergeant Ross, he came over from Gallipoli he came from a place called Bewley, not far from Inverness, about 10 miles from Inverness. I took his watch out of his pocket and identification disc and a few papers, letters he had in his pocket, photographs and that. And I took it back to the company officer, Captain Fraser, I think it was, give them to him. He said we'd send them home. Never heard of
he was killed by concussion.
Yeah, he got killed with concussion. One of them got his arm nearly blown off with the same shell. There were quite about half a dozen of them badly, and I was right in front, and I never got in. The shell burst right in front of me, like up above that shelf there, and blew back. It just missed me. I suppose my height might have saved me.
Yes, that's what
he was big. He was over 6 feet, this Sergeant Ross. And he must have got the full blast of the concussion. Killed him. I remember when I opened up his shirt and his tunic, there was a big black vein from the side of his neck right down to his heart, swelling out about as big as my small finger. It was all turned black. It was a lucky day for me.
When you also mentioned about a big shell landing in front of a dugout.
Yeah, we were making machine gun emplacements. I was right in the top. We used to work. We were working with the engineers. We were sent down, a party of us, to help the engineers to make these big machines. They expect the Germans to make a big attack at that time. And there were a lot of making big machine gun emplacements in the reserve trenches. In the reserve trenches, and when we went down about 60 feet under the ground. The engineers and carpenters and that, they were building it was between steel old rails and all that. They were making it in woodwork. And then they had passages underneath. It was my turn to be in the top, so you went right down to where the engineers were digging the down below, making these places where you could sleep and that. When this shell came over, it made a noise like an express train, and I happened to be right in the very top. And there were one man about every yard, right down to the bottom, about a dozen or 20 of you working. And they passed the sandbag up full of clay, and then you got it and you had to run out and throw it in the nearest shell hole in the dark. So they couldn't see it, spread it out, just shake it in a shell hole and that. And this shell came over, and the nose cap couldn't have come off. It was very muddy at the time, heavy mud all around. It buried itself right in the top. And whoever was in charge shouted up, "Have a look and see where that shell went, Tom." And I went up and seen this blooming thing stuck right in the blooming top of the trench, or the place where we got out. I couldn't get over it. And I couldn't get my arms round it. And none of it touched it. We just left it there. We didn't even hardly feel it in case it went off. It was a big naval shell, 15 or 18 inch shell.
Must have weighed about a ton of it.
Oh, yeah, more than that, maybe a ton and a half. They were demolishing a lot of the buildings all around the place. A lot of the village, it was destroyed.
Well, it must have really thumped into the ground when it hit.
Oh, the sound. It was just like an express train when they come in. The whole dugout shook. I thought, thank goodness another one didn't come over, but well, I waited for about 2 or 3 minutes and nothing happened, and then whoever was in charge shouted out, you better go and have a look at it and see how it is. So I crawled up the stairs up, and I looked near, it was stuck right in the entrance where we came in. Just right in the side of the mud.
Well, how would you get on with something like that? You just leave it there?
Oh, just leave it there, and then the engineers or the fellows that was in charge would come round and take the nose, if the nose cup, see they were right, make it safety. Blooming terrible job. If it went off, a good part of the men was working on it. Well, you'd hear these nose cups sometimes whizzing round the air. And the shell wouldn't go off. What they're called duds. Get buried in the mud. There must have been a lot of people killed afterwards with these shells lying about.
The nose cap would just be about falling off, and yet the mud would have stopped it from spinning anymore.
Yeah. Well, sometimes the nose caps come off and the shell wouldn't go off. You'd hear them whizzing through the air, but you just stand there and you couldn't do anything about it because you couldn't tell where it was coming from. You just hear it whizzing through the air. You got used to know the sound of them. And then the gas shells, they only made a hissing noise when the shell come over, the nose cap come off, and it went the gas coming out. As soon as you heard the hissing noise, you put your gas mask on as quick as you could. You always carried them at the alert position, that was on your chest.
And you could always, that was the only thing that gave you a warning.
Yeah, the hissing. Well, the Germans got cunning and they used to put overhead shrapnel and heavy shells with them to drown the sound. And then you may be taking, that's how a lot of fellas got gassed with the gas shells. They taken unawares. Here's the chef. We didn't get killed in, but the effect on it, so they sent me back after a bit down there and went into hospital, and they called it PUO, and I never found to this day what PUO was. And I near died there. I never knew it was so bad until the sister told me when they were sending me over to England, to Southampton. And she says, you're a very sick young man, you don't know it.
That was gas.
Well, that PUO on the ticket. I never found out what PUO was. Some used to say it was pains unknown origin, they used to call it. But we never got the medical term what it was. I don't think half of them knew what it was. I think it was just that you were slowly poisoned and they didn't know what was wrong. There was so much sickness about.
How long were you in the hospital?
About 3 months. They sent me off over in the Red Cross ship called SS St. George. I was in the morgue ward for a long time. I never knew that until they put me in. There used to be dying all around me every day. Number 6 General Wrong.